want to take a look at some of the smaller states in this big nation of ours because I believe that there are some glimmers of hope that aren't getting nearly enough attention. I'd like to show you how I believe that the Kamala Harris campaign is changing the rules of the game. And I'm going to break one of my own rules based on some comments that you guys have given me. Hi, everyone. I'm Shauna Presley Bircher, the political fixer, and I love Pennsylvania as much as the next person, but I needed a little bit of a break from the swing state mania. So I decided to look at some other states that aren't getting nearly the same media coverage, and I found some really inspirational stories that I wanted to bring to you. Some of you had asked me to take a closer look at Kansas, and I was familiar with the poll that you were bringing to my attention that showed that Kamala Harris was only down by 5 points, but I didn't think much of it. Then when I started looking a little bit deeper, you were right. There's something special happening there. Now, the poll I'm referring to is from a pretty reputable source, which is Fort Hays State University, and their polling has her anywhere from 5 points down all the way down to 11 points down. But context matters here. When you start looking at the history of all of this, he won Kansas by nearly 15 points last time. And in 2016, he won by 20 points. So you could say that he's up by 5, or you could say that he's been bleeding support from the state of Kansas consistently for the last 8 years. So now he's down to 1/4 of the lead that he had before. Now, normally this is what I would attribute to some sort of demographic shift, different people moving in or out of the state. But that's not the case here. In fact, Kansas is registered so Republican that there are actually more others than there are Democrats in the state. Kansas doesn't seem to be a state that you can just put a handy label on. The people there are fiercely independent in their voting, and they certainly don't like to be told what they are and are not allowed to do. Case in point, you have a heavily Republican registered state with a Democratic congresswoman in one of their 4 seats and a Democratic woman governor that's been there since 2018. She and the congresswoman were both reelected in 2022. And something else happened in 2022. The state legislature tried to essentially sneak in an abortion ban. They didn't put it on the ballot during the normal election time. They put it at a time when they thought really no one would show up or pay attention. They were incorrect. Kansas voters defeated the abortion ban 59-41. I believe that organizing is some of what we're seeing right now. The only major race on the ballot in Kansas right now statewide is the presidential election. So you have all of this enthusiasm, you have all of these poll numbers shifting, and you have a group of people who value reproductive freedom. So who do you think they're going to be voting for? Now, Kansas isn't the only traditionally conservative state that is showing some surprises here. Louisiana has already not only surpassed their 2016 early voting numbers, they have surpassed their 2020 pandemic early voting totals. And keep in mind that Louisiana recently had a Democratic governor who termed out. So anything can happen in that state as long as the voters show up. Tennessee has also blown past their 2016 numbers, and they are on pace to catch their 2020 early voting totals. But I want to call your attention to another state, North Dakota. A video caught my attention in what is becoming one of my favorite video trends of the campaign season, people sitting in their cars after they vote and reflecting on the bigness of the moment. Jen9263 from North Dakota said that she waited in line over an hour to vote. And she said that she was getting emotional, realizing that she may have just filled in her ballot for the first female president ever in the United States history, something she didn't think would happen in her lifetime. Now, practically speaking, North Dakota went for Harris's opponent by 30 points last time. So ask yourself this. Why would someone stand in line for over an hour? Not just Jen, but everyone that she was in line with. Why would they stand there and spend that much time and energy when there's those types of odds staring right back at them? This isn't just a campaign. This is a movement, and they want to be a part of it. Now, I understand that when we start talking about the historic nature of this race, the fact that it might be the first woman president, the fact that we might turn the page on history, that conjures up a lot of feelings. And one of them is anxiety. And the reason is because we don't want to repeat what happened in 2016. So I want to help you kind of get over some of that anxiety by breaking one of my own rules. I'm actually going to share a story about him. I don't like talking about him, I don't like giving him oxygen, but this one might be worth it for you. Right now, we have a lot of so-called experts telling us how this race is too close to call and there's just no way to predict what will happen. But forget the data, forget the polls, forget history for just a second. And I want you to focus on this image. This is not a protester disrupting one of his events. This is not a political group looking for attention or trying to drum up donations. This is a grown man running for president who got into a little costume and climbed up into a dump truck that he voluntarily put his name on as a symbol for his own campaign. He's not even driving it. He got into his outfit, he climbed up into the truck like some sort of take your tyrant to work day, and he just waved for everyone to see. This is not a serious person. It's not. For years, we have been spoon-fed this idea that he's an evil genius, and people that are selling us that idea are only half right. If we're going to move past this anxiety, and yes, I realize the stakes are real and that they are high, but I also know that we're doing really well. And yet we've been programmed to think that no matter what we do, we're doomed. And it's just not the case. And one of the reasons I believe we think that is because we really haven't come to terms with the fact that he didn't beat us in 2016. Collectively, we kind of slept on 2016. We didn't have nearly the enthusiasm and the organization and the sheer will to push this across the finish line that we do now. And it's because we're learning from our mistakes. We're adjusting, we're adapting, we're more tuned in now. And not only are we raising our voices, we are demanding to be heard from every corner of this country. I have news for you. We're the October surprise. This huge coalition that is being built is historical. And when we look back after we have turned the page, we're going to realize that the American people were the story the entire time. I firmly believe that. And I'm telling you that we are going to take that man to the curb on November 5th. And I'm going to be there every single step of the way. I hope that you'll follow me at Political Fixer and that you'll share and like this content so that other people can see it. I'm going to continue to bring you insights and intel into this historic moment, and I'll see you all soon.